Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing well, and in this video we're going to cover spells and magic and spiritual work as spiritual medicine. And if you want to keep up to date and you like my videos, please click subscribe. And if you like this video, go ahead and click like. I'm glad to see you here, and I make these videos for all my subscribers and everyone else who could benefit from them. Alright. So for those who are newcomers to spiritual work, spells, and magic, there's a lot of misleading and confusing information out there. And I want to give you kind of a very simple metaphor or analogy that can help you take you forward in helping you get what you want. But you really have to understand how this stuff works if you really want to benefit from it in the biggest possible way. Okay? So here's how it is. When you go to a doctor, right? And when you go to a spiritual worker or a spellcaster, a magician, a sorcerer, whatever they're calling themselves, okay? There is not that much of a difference. The doctor is going to use his prescriptions, etc., and the spiritual worker is going to use his prescriptions, etc., And there's not that much of a difference. And so I'm going to lead you through both kind of congruently or at the same time and kind of show you what it is, right? So in either case, you go in and you have a consultation, okay? With a doctor or with the spiritual worker, the first step is to have a consultation. And during the consultation, depending on the length of time, etc., the doctor or the spiritual worker will get in depth to a certain degree of depth in your problem or situation and come up with a prescription or remedy, a solution or treatment. Okay? And so this is what happens. And when you're going to a spiritual worker, any free consultation is usually not a good one. So that's a tip. It's just like a doctor. If you're going to go to see a doctor, you're going to pay for your consultation. When you see a spiritual worker, you should pay for your consultation. Be careful. Free comes at its own cost. All right. So from that point, you're going to get a treatment. And in both cases, they're going to give you a treatment according to what it is the achieved desired result or goal that you have. For the spiritual worker, that might be getting a person back or love or a job, for example. And for a doctor, that might be treating cancers or certain other illnesses, right? Diabetes or whatever it is that you have going on with you, okay? Now, the doctor's going to give you a certain treatment and prescription, okay, based on certain factors and based on a certain probable outcome. The highest likelihood or the highest probability, okay? He's going to mix your personal factors and he's going to go ahead and what he sees in your situation and the most common factors with these prescriptions or remedies, and he's going to kind of match the two of you together. Okay? And the same with the spiritual worker. Depending on the depth of information they were able to gather, the length of consultation, so on and so forth, they're going to come up with certain factors with you and your situation scenario and your character and your situation and come up with a treatment plan, usually using magic, spells, spiritual work, cleansing, so on and so on and so forth. Okay? And what both expect is that, given this situation, scenario, this factors, given this treatment, the most probable outcome is thus, this, X, Y, or Z. Now, the reality in both cases, when you go to a doctor or you go to a spiritual worker, is that there's a number of possible outcomes that could result. Okay? And this is where people kind of get it confused. So when you go to a doctor and he prescribes you a medicine, there are a number of factors that could result. Number one, the medicine could work and you get exactly what you wanted, relief, you're good. Okay? And that's great. And you may or may not need to see the doctor again after that. Same with the spiritual worker. The spells, the magic could work exactly as desired, so on and so forth. May or may not need any further help. Okay? The second thing is it could work only to a certain degree or certain percentage. And that may also depend on your situation, right? Certain illnesses can only be relieved, can only be helped or assisted, and can't be totally cured. And other illnesses can be totally cured, but maybe this medicine or whatever can only help you to a certain degree, okay, because of other factors or conditions in your situation or who you are. Same thing with the spiritual worker. The third possible outcome is that the medicine doesn't work at all, okay, and you don't get the desired result or outcome. And that could happen, right? And that could be for a number of reasons, various other factors that maybe during consultation wasn't enough time, or there wasn't in-depth enough, or you didn't give that person, that practitioner, enough time to go into that depth, or there's certain information missing. There's any number of reasons that could go, right? It could be that you didn't take the prescription properly as instructed. It could be that the doctor didn't give you the right dosage or the right amount. It could be that the doctor missed a step. Any number of reasons. So that's another possible scenario. Another possible scenario is that you could be allergic to the prescription. You didn't even know, the doctor didn't even know, nobody knew. Or, it wasn't revealed or whatever. Okay? And you could be allergic and everything, you have a bad reaction to the medicine. And same thing with the spiritual worker. Okay? But no one knows what's going to happen until you take the medicine. So a common question is, if I do this spell or I do magic in this situation or that scenario, what's going to happen? Okay? Just like the doctor giving you his medicine, there's a certain percentage of likelihood that you're going to fall into a certain realm if you do that work. Okay? But at the same time, there's still a possible chance, an opening, that any of these other number of scenarios or these other pathways could be what happens. Now, the worst is when things backfire on you. That, when you're allergic to the medicine, or in your situation, things backfire on you. Right? That's the actual worst scenario. People think that the worst scenario is not resulting. No. The worst scenario is backfiring. Okay? Because backfiring usually causes a whole world of messes that had nothing to do with the original spell work. Okay? Then comes not getting results. But just like the doctor, okay, the spiritual worker knows that there's a certain probable outcome of that work in that situation. Again, the doctor can have a kind of prediction based on the medicine, based on the illness, the extent of the illness, so on and so forth. The doctor will predict that, hey, you'll take this medicine for 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 6 months, and then you'll be better. Now, anybody taking doctor's medicine knows that that's not usually the case, but also that's not a certainty. And it's the same thing with the spiritual worker, right? Based on experience, based on what they see, based on the information that the spirits are giving them, so on and so forth, right? They could have an idea of a timeline or an idea of how certain things are going to happen. But usually that's not concrete, because until things have taken place, until the magic has really started to unravel and work, one cannot totally predict how that magic is going to work. In this case, that magic is the medicine in the situation. Okay? And so asking how long is this going to take, doesn't always give you a accurate answer, because the old timers used to say, with the spirits, everything comes to pass when the spirits say it's time to come to pass. With the spirits make things come to pass in a miraculous, great way better than you could possibly predict. Okay? And same with the doctor. Sometimes, he might say, hey, you might need to do this for 8 weeks, 2 months, 3 months before you get better. And you might get better in a month. And same thing with the spiritual worker. Okay? So it really is a type of spirit medicine. That's why spiritual work used to be referred to as spirit medicine. Why people use that term in many areas, many locations. Okay? So that's how magic works. And just the same as the medicine, until you take it, you don't really know how that medicine is going to turn out, whether it's going to work out for you, so on and so on and so forth. There's a certain probability, right? And a certain likelihood. And usually those likelihoods are very correct, especially the more experience the doctor has, or in this case, the spiritual worker has. The more time in, the more they've worked with that medicine, the more knowledge that they have, the more training that they have, the more this, the more that, okay? All that factors into the situation. But ultimately, especially with magic and spells provide avenues that didn't previously exist, provide shifts and changes that weren't previously marked down to happen. That's part of what you're signing up for when you're getting spells or magic done. And it's one of the beauties of it. And it's one of the things that provoke the most kind of issues with people. But one of the beauties of it is that it rewrites things. Okay? It opens up what wasn't open before. It brings opportunity that didn't exist before. It creates new scenarios or situations other than what you could have possibly ever thought or imagined. And the less you limit magic, the more the magic will unravel and work for you. Okay? And magic follows certain laws and principles. So, just like the doctor, the spiritual worker can say, with certain probability, this is what we can expect in about this amount of time frame. Okay? But how exactly everything will occur, that's part of the journey. How you will heal as you take the medicine, the doctor can't tell you. That's part of the journey. You have to experience that. Okay? And I hope that this has clarified a lot about magic and spells and spirit medicine and how it works. So until next time, keep the faith. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I'll speak to you soon. God bless.